What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Coach Black, your internet, relationship, and breakup coach. Today's topic: this will always happen first before your ex comes back to you. Now, if you're in a place of fear and anxiety because you're worried that nothing is going to bring your ex back, maybe you've done all the things that I suggest you don't do, and you've begged your ex, you've chased him, you tried to have conversations, you sent them the long text message, but all to no avail. Currently, they're acting like you don't exist. And maybe in some cases, they are hyper negative. They're telling you to stop reaching out. And so you're finally doing no contact, but more so as a last resort because there's nothing else left to do. But in your mind, you're thinking, oh, how in the world can I go from where I am today to some distant future where my ex is loving, caring, affectionate, and they're happy to be with me? It's almost like mission impossible, right? And I totally get this. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how we can really turn that ship around. What are the things that we're going to see? What are the things that your ex is going to do for us to know that finally things are starting to look in your favor? After you watch this video, if you like it, please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the future videos that I put out. Thank you. Let's just jump into it. So a few years ago, I used to work for a multinational company. When I first joined this company, I was excited. It was a great time, great opportunity. Coming from the role I had previously to this job, it was just a much bigger company, more opportunities, more responsibilities. And in the role I was going to be doing, I was more so like a subject matter expert, meaning I was going to take this technology that we have and essentially sell it to customers, but not just from a like salesman perspective, but more so from a technical, helping them understand how this thing really functions and how it can help them in their business. Long story short, I took the role in Houston, but part of the requirements of getting up to speed with this position was that I had to travel to the factory, which is in Minnesota, where other experts on these products were going to teach me. They were really going to take me under their wing and dump as much knowledge as they could into me in like 2 weeks. And so I decided to take the job. I took the trip out to Minnesota. And let me tell you, I was not expecting just how cold it was going to be. If you know me, I was born and raised in Nigeria, which is extremely humid and hot. And I spent, a vast majority of my adult years living in Houston, Texas, which is hot and humid. So my expectations were not what I ended up seeing when I got there. It was so cold, the streets were covered in snow. Everything that you can see for miles and miles was just pure white snow. So obviously I'm bundled up in, December in Minnesota. I'm freezing, I'm shaking. You can see my hair standing up. You can see the goosebumps all over my body when I took off my gloves. But, it was part of the job. Now, one of the first things that we did when I got to Minnesota was that the people who lived there locally, that were coworkers, they wanted us to just go out, socialize, network, have a good time. And one of the things that they wanted us to do is called ice fishing. If you don't know what ice fishing is, I'm no expert myself, but essentially you're going over a frozen body of water, a lake, for example. It's frozen, but you're going to be standing on it, sitting in some kind of covering on this thing, and you're going to be fishing and you're going to be trying to catch fish. And my first impression when they mentioned this was, sounds really dangerous. Okay, I don't know about you, but if you've watched any movies that have to do with frozen lakes and things like that, people seem to fall through. Now, of course, I'm not telling you to try this at home. And ice fishing is very safe from what I understand, but it still didn't change the perception that I had based on my limited knowledge. And so I remember as we approached the site, and I saw people even driving over the frozen lake, and I'm thinking, are they Are they insane? And so as we approach the site where we're going to be doing the fishing, I remember everyone just walking up, but I'm very hesitant. I just kind of saunter my way down, and I remember leaning my leg out and tapping across the frozen lake just to make sure it wasn't going to fall through, make sure there was no cracks, make sure that the ground I was standing under was solid, okay? Because this was a matter of life and death. I want to make sure I was going to be okay. You see, a lot of times when you're dealing with a breakup, this is what your ex ends up doing. Now, what does this mean? However you slice it, however you want to look at it, when your ex decided to leave, they made a decision about you. They believe that they are more attractive than you. They believe that pursuing a relationship with you is not in their best interest, and that ultimately you're not on the same level as them, and that they can find someone better than you. They've made an assessment, they've made a judgment, and all of these things have happened subconsciously, and they put you in a box. And by their expectation, you are never going to get out of that box because you're not attractive. Now, to make things worse, if you chased them, if you begged them and pleaded to get the relationship back, you really made them believe that they are right about you. So what happens when you start doing no contact is that you are behaving differently than your ex expects you to behave, because having self-respect, having dignity, these are the traits and characteristics of an attractive person. And remember, your ex has made a judgment about you. So after a few weeks of no contact, maybe a few months in some cases, the thing that you're doing, being more attractive, is confusing for them. It's going to bother them. And they almost have to test to see, to make sure that what I knew about her in the past, what I knew about him in the past is correct. He's still unattractive. He's still not on my level. Because remember, when it comes to moving forward and choosing a partner, in some essence, it is about life and death. It is about choosing the right person. And so when they're tapping across that frozen lake and when they're testing you to make sure the ground is solid, all you have to do to turn things around is pass their tests. Forget about the nuances. Don't dive too deep and complicate things in your mind. Now, the simple question is, okay, what is your ex testing for? Essentially, they're testing to see, are you good enough for me? Are you on the same level as I am? Are you as high value as I perceive myself to be? What are traits of someone who's confident? What are traits of someone who is high value, who has options? Well, like I mentioned before, they're not desperate. So let's say one of the tests you get from your ex is, they watch your story. It doesn't matter. It's not enough to move a high value person off center, especially if our last interaction was you dumping me chasing you and trying to be with you, and now you just watch my story. What am I supposed to do? Show up at your home, send you a letter? Of course not. So little things like that you ignore. It's a test. And no matter the reaction you get from your ex, as long as you're behaving in a high value way, you are passing the test. For example, a more extreme test that I've seen is you go no contact. You finally give your ex what they want. And then they send you a text message and they say, I just can't believe that you can go 3 weeks without talking to me. This is why we broke up in the first place, because you don't care about me. Remember, this is someone who chose to leave you. This is someone you begged and chased and tried to be in a relationship with, and they said no. So you always bring that back to your forefront and don't focus too much on what they're saying currently. Just say, how can I convey myself in a more high value way, in the most attractive way? And you say, well, if you missed me that much, maybe you should have picked up the phone and called. Okay, you always want to carry yourself well. Now, I want to keep this video short, so I don't want us to go all over the place. And I'm going to make a separate video about this, but when it comes to the masculine and feminine, this is an important component. when your ex is reaching out to you directly, all right, I've made another video. I'm going to link that down below. I think that was called, "This is the exact way your ex will reach out to you." There's the direct approach and there's the more indirect approach. If they reach out to you directly, if you're in the masculine, it is okay for you to pursue or move things forward, okay? But you literally do that as directly as possible. You ask, "Hey, good to hear from you. When are you free together?" Something like that. You can do that over 2 text messages or 3 text messages, but you don't waste time. You don't sit there and have an hour conversation with your ex. So it's okay for you to say, after they reach out to you first, it's okay for you to say, "What's your schedule like? Let's get together. Let's grab a drink." Something simple. And if they do not accept, always remember, you're a high value person. You don't double text. You don't say, "Please, will you think about it?" You just say, "All right, well, hey, if you change your mind, let me know." And you continue about your business. Remember, it does not matter what your ex says or does in the moment. All that matters is that you pass the test. Now, if you're in that feminine, a simple way to think about it is it's the man's responsibility, or it's the masculine's responsibility, to pursue you, okay? Even during a breakup. So it's okay for you to respond to a text message or a couple of text messages, but if he is not leading things to a successful conclusion, he's not leading things to hanging out, spending time together, going on a date, then as a high value person, it's okay for you to be busy. It's okay for you to have better things to do than to sit and have a pointless conversation that's going nowhere. Okay? That's how you should be looking at this thing. Everything else, you ignore the breadcrumbs, the little text messages, things like that. But if they reach out to you directly, that is okay. For the masculine, you pursue. For the feminine, you allow them to pursue you. And if they don't, you continue to stay in no contact. I'm telling you, the testing will always come first, because your ex wants to know for sure that if I give this person my heart again, if I give them another opportunity, I can confirm that they're going to treat my heart properly. I can confirm that we are equally yoked. I can confirm that we are a good match for each other based on how they're responding to my tests. Okay? It sounds complicated, but it's really not that complicated. Look for the tests first. Once you start getting the tests, it's a very, very good sign that things are starting to turn and shift in your favor. If your ex didn't care about you, if they didn't care about a future with you, they wouldn't be testing you. They're at least curious, like, what has changed? Something is different. This is attractive to me. And if you pass their test well, things will slowly progress and escalate. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment in the description. If you have any thoughts and you want to share your experience, please go ahead and drop it down in the comment section. If you want to talk to me about your situation, your breakup, if you have questions, hit the first link in description, book a call, and we can talk about it. I look forward to talking to you soon. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.